Welcome everybody to the latest Avoiding Chores podcast. I am your host Jim Sear, and it is currently Saturday morning, 7 a.m. on the dot here on one of the last Saturdays of November. Actually, the last Saturday of November here. Gonna do a little bit different episode from the last few ones here. Going back, I realized that it is almost 15 years that, a little bit more 15 years actually, that I started my podcast, my very first podcast, One Ping Only. I should try to surface some of these old episodes. I think I have them somewhere, but I think what I'm going to do is kind of do a retro one, mix in some of the new items here so that you guys can get the latest on some GPS news, some outdoor rec stuff. So let's keep a focus here on the present, which is I'm at Home Depot. Love walking into the Home Depot on a Saturday morning. In my head, I'm playing back the Steve Austin intro music. 7 in the morning, nobody's here. Ooh, new stuff. Let's take a look at the smart home stuff. See, there's a lot of new products here. Finally starting to see the Wise products here, doorbells and outdoor cameras here. Let's see what else we got. What's the other one? Eufy. That, I believe, that is the company that owns Anchor, or Soundcore. So should be fairly good. Of course, at the house, we've basically moved everything over to Amazon ecosystem. Had a few Whiz lights. Not totally happy with those lights. Kind of been slowly buying some Philips Hue instead. But I am here to go through the aisles because I need a couple of things. And what was it? Let me just look for some stuff here. Nobody here, of course, on a Saturday. All right, picked up a couple of things. Man, people were chatting in the store today. Holy moly. Had one guy in the tool section asked if I needed any help, and I said no. And they proceeded to go tell a story about the poor service at the Mr. Lube next door here at the Home Depot. How I guess the quality is not very good of the workmanship. So actually, it was funny. I reminded of a story there. My parents came down over the towards the end of the summer, and they came down with their RV, and they needed to. My dad said he needed to take his truck to the dealership for an oil change. So why an oil change? Well, before they started the trip, they did an oil change, but when they stopped overnight in Moncton, which is kind of like 3/4 of the way to stay a couple nights first before they came down to see us here, they. Mom was smelling oil. I said, something's smelling oil in the truck. Like, what's going on? So the old man opened up the hood, and they didn't put the oil cap back on. It was just sitting right there on the battery. So, holy geez, like, who knows, right? What's going on there? And, did any debris get in there? Stuff, squirrel, who knows, right? So, anyway, we brought it. Luckily, I had an appointment on that Saturday. They were down. So I said, well, just follow me, and we'll see if we can get you in and stuff like that. So, it took most of the day until we got the call back, but they got it back. And in fact, I was there yesterday to get my winter tires on. Had to get some new tires, switch trucks. Actually, I switched trucks this spring, and I needed to get a new set of winter tires, so that was an expense. I'm just going to leave them on. These are kind of like the all-terrain type, chunky type of tire. So I'm just going to leave them on. It's a hassle to begin with, so we'll just leave them on the air. So far, so good. Not too bad. But anyway, what I did get at Home Depot, I needed a couple products from Night Eyes. So they've had some products over the years, but You're starting to see them in other stores, right? Home Depot, Cabela's, a few other spots here. But I did get their gear tie, which is kind of like their stiff metal bungee twisty tie thing. I need to, because we had a little bit of snow and rain. We had about 80 millimeters of rain, and then a couple centimeters of snow, and then some more rain. But anyway, I needed to shovel the front step, and I took the shovel out. And of course, we're in our new spot, and unlike our old place, the front door was fairly shielded from the weather. I think it was facing, I forget the exact direction it was facing there, but it was always well protected from the wind. You only knew when we had a bad nor'easter over the winter that, things were bad. But, typically the general wind patterns of the storms wasn't a problem. But for our new place, our main entry door gets quite a bit of crosswind here. And anyway, I need something to keep my snow shovel up. So I just got a gear tie to just tie the shovel up when I need it there. So that'll stay there. And another thing that I got was some cam jams. I think that's what they're called. Cam jams? Yeah, cam jams. Webbing, strapping to tie down gear back in the truck bed. I got the 6-foot one. I already have a pair of these that I'm using already. Love them. Very good products. And better than like using come-alongs or those ratchet straps, I in my opinion, because these things will hold down pretty good too. I do have some 12-foot versions of these straps in the truck here. I don't use them a lot. I find I use a 6-footer, and then there was another product that I use, actually. I got that at the Toronto Outdoor Show when I was visiting the Road Post, InReach, Zoleo folks there a couple years ago. It was a Pull Buddy. It was a product there. It was like this plastic product with rope, and then you had hooks. Anyway, I use that all the time. I'll try to post it in the show notes or something like that. But anyway, stocking stuffers for me, getting close to that Christmas time. But anyway, needed a few things. But yeah, so let's move on with the next stop. All right, we're heading now to my second favorite store to go to on the Saturday morning, which is open early. It's Cabela's Bass Pro. Fortunately, during the summer months, the seasonal months, they're open even earlier, but now they switched over to winter time. They open a little bit later, but I'm heading out to Dartmouth Crossing. A couple other things will be there, probably Black Friday sales, which it is. I just realized after I did the intro that it is Black Friday. Credit cards are going to take a hit. I think a lot of Christmas shopping is going to get done. One of the things you're probably looking for or waiting for are for some GPS sales, right? See what Garmin has to offer. So I took a quick look last night and this morning, and Garmin has some flash sales going on right now. I've noticed a trend. They used to release new models, right before Black Friday. And they would do two things. They would announce a couple of models. You would have Black Friday. People would buy stuff on Black Friday. And then in January, boom, new models that make you think that you just wasted money because you bought the old version. However, these incremental updates have been so few and far between with especially their wearables. They spent last year working on the outdoor handhelds. I think they've pretty much finished it. They released, the one thing really notable that they released this year was marine versions of the GPS maps. They refreshed the car, the drive, I think. They have one more Overlander, the Tread, and the Forerunner 55. However, if you had your eyes on some of the Venu 2, Venu Square, Phoenix 6, Lily, there are some incredible price drops that you may want to do it. The only caveat I'm just going to warn people is that don't be surprised in January, end of January, that you'll see a brand new version of what you bought there. But I mean, you know, for those who've been holding off for a Phoenix 6, the price drop was substantial, which is also the big hint to let you know that there's a new version coming out. But you know, there's that. The Instinct, you know, that's due for a refresh. The Lily, which is the more of a female fashion kind of watch, that's probably going to get a refresh. And the Venu 2, of course, it's funny with the Venu, they haven't quite decided what they want to do with it. They have a round, they have a square version, so I don't know. But that's just an FYI on that. If you're looking for some handhelds or some running watches, and you're just looking for an excuse, and of course I'm talking about Forerunners, as I'm crossing Bedford Sunnyside Mall and I see the running room group taking off for their Saturday morning run. They still can't meet up in the mall. They still can't meet up in the mall there, so they have to meet up outside and do their runs. So I think things kind of moved from the Sunday runs to the Saturday runs here in Bedford. Anyway. But yeah, so if you guys are looking for a GPS, Black Friday, you probably should still see some sales. And if the price drop is pretty big, if you're okay with, you know, buying it and then a couple months later you have a new version, that's, you know, you're good. Unfortunately, I'm the kind of guy who wants the latest, greatest version on everything, so it's you know, not something I usually do. And you know, that's why I noticed that trend the last few times I was buying the Phoenix. Actually, it was specifically when I bought my two Phoenix 1, Phoenix 3, and that's what happened. So lesson learned. Well, Bass Pro Cabela hybrid store that we have here in town is not open. Next door is IKEA, and IKEA is not open. It is 8 o'clock, or actually 8:15. Doesn't open until 9. So I guess I can talk about a couple of the other things that I've been dabbling. Or actually, you know, before I get to that, fun stat. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are working remote and or doing some type of hybrid office work at home. For me, I've been working from home 100%. There's no foreseeable timeline where I will be going back to the office. If it is, at one point it will be a hybrid, but my job is not to be in the office. My job was to be away on site. So now that, you know, I'm doing stuff remotely, I will see that continuing. So, but it's a funny stat I heard. There was with this, you know, everything kind of got adjusted in terms of flexibility, and you can tell that the fact that I'm out early, that's how my life has been adjusted by this pandemic. I do all of my outings very early in the morning. You know, basically that early in the morning and at lunchtime, and then that's it. You know, I don't go out, you know, from in the afternoon or anything like that. Same thing on the weekends. So I'm very much a morning dude now. It also goes with work. You have a lot of meeting calls, and they said that the amount of hours that people are on call or having meetings, and now online meetings, average is 24 hours a week, which is a ridiculous amount of time, but not unreal, because with the work that I'm doing right now, I'm working for a client and I have to use their systems. So we're using Google Workspace or Google Drive, or whatever, the Google infrastructure. And they did some updates a little while ago, and when you go into the calendar mode, you can see a little widget or insight that tells you how many hours per week that you're booked in meetings and stuff. And I was kind of went through it, you know, during that project, and I was averaging 27 hours a week in meetings. And the culture of this company here is to have the camera on. So, you know, I was spending, well, that's basically 6 hours, you know, 5 to 6 hours a day, you know, during the week with the camera on and talking and all that stuff. So, you know, that is really rough. That's really rough. to have that all the time. I know that it looks to be a cultural thing. You know, there's certain groups of people that don't turn on, will never turn on their camera. Some of them will have terrible sound. Some of them resist very much doing their online stuff. But there's some people that, you know, they really got into it here. But I'm hoping at some point, you know, these we can adjust kind of our work habits. Maybe there's different tools that, you know, the Slack or something else that you can use to try not to be always in the call to talk to somebody. But then again, it's hard to get anything done unless you're talking to somebody, you know, and that doesn't, you can chat with somebody, but having a quick voice chat or video call sometimes just seals the deal, right? So, but that's the machinations of the world these days, and all this other stuff that goes with it. So another thing I've been trying to figure out is this whole Bitcoin and NFTs. Now, Bitcoin's been around for a while. I dabbled a little bit in trying to mine it back when you could mine Bitcoin effectively, but nowadays that doesn't seem to be a good thing to do, or a wise thing to do unless you want to put a lot of money into it. So I was digging into the whole NFTs, non-fungible tokens, nonsense, whatever, and looking into that because, you know, essentially, you know, it's about digital assets or cards and stuff, and I figured that, well, geez, during the years I've created some digital assets over time. You know, all the stuff I did with avoiding chores and the other stuff there. I've produced coins, ebooks, and all that stuff, and wondering if there's something that I can dabble with. So after watching, I don't know, an hour, a couple hours worth of YouTube videos, try to explain it, I am no further ahead figuring things out. The most that I've kind of figured out is that there is a couple of websites that you can browse these tokens. The ones that I've been gravitating to, of course, is the largest one, which is called OpenSea.io, I think. That is based on the Ethereum Bitcoin, which is a type of Bitcoin, you know, like Dogecoin and all these other things that you hear Elon Musk tout. But yeah, I guess Ethereum is the popular one. There's a whole bunch of other ones. And then the other one, which is called, was it Rarible or Creatable? I forget exactly here. That one uses, oh no, Mintable. That's what it's called, Mintable. And the reason why I did that is because the people backing that one, I think it's the guy that owns Salesforce. Well, anyway, the backing seems a little bit more legit, and it seems a little bit more interesting. I forget what tokens you have to use to transfer, you know, coins, you know, to get payments and stuff. I forget. And then there's the Russian one called Rarible, and so I'm trying to figure this out. And then the easiest way to get and then you try learning about Bitcoin wallets. So you need some sort of wallet to get coins and trade. And then I was, you know, digging through like, well, can I use my Raspberry Pi that I have at home as a cold storage wallet so that I don't get hacked and this and that and what have you. So I ended up downloading the app on my phone called Coinbase. And that's a Bitcoin wallet. Security looks pretty good, fairly straightforward. Make sure you remember all your passwords. And I think I forget how that works. But anyway, so you have that set up, and then you can start loading up your wallet with some other Bitcoin to make some transactions. Because when you do NFTs, there's different fees or gas lines. They got weird terms. Basically, there's a little bit of fee, like first time fee, doing a transaction. If you do a transaction, then you have like, you know, there's like this little percentage, and got cut off here. My truck turned off there. It must have messed up the Bluetooth. But anyway, I was going to say here is like, so far I'm spending a lot of time on these marketplaces trying to figure out how to get into the game, and how to do it. So I still haven't quite figured out what to do. I was hoping maybe taking pages out of my ebook, or using the maps and try to do something, trading cards. Oh man, not too sure. The whole thing's flooded with pixel art, and you see these amounts that are just getting traded. It's insane. It's insane. I don't know how, I don't know. I'm sure this is going to crash at some point, but this seems to be the thing. It's a nice little pastime to get through it. I don't have any big recommendations of what to watch. Definitely YouTube. Definitely gotta watch the YouTube videos from some kids. If you're in the upper age segment, like I'm starting to get into, it's you might want to figure that out and take some time. And I thought it was something I can get up and running in a day, but it's definitely something that is going to take a couple of weeks or a couple of sessions to really get a good understanding of things and how to post something. And plus you got to market it too, right? Because you can't just put stuff on the marketplace and expect it to go. You got to get your audience to start looking at it. So again, it's trying to figure out how that works. But right now I'm currently at the IKEA parking lot, and as you know, IKEA parking lots are massive, and I'm here in the corner, and why do people need to gravitate towards me? So I'm observing a couple in a Mazda CX-30 doing some awfully weird stuff. And then I just saw a little silver Volkswagen Jetta speed to the exit side. Must be somebody getting late for work. Anyway, as you can tell, this is the action never stops here in the parking lot in Dartmouth. And I am seeing a rainbow, so that is a sign that I should cut off this podcast. So hopefully this was a little bit enjoyable for you guys. But before I go, do have one Q&A question answer that I want to share with you guys. So I got approached by somebody from Slovenia, Jan or Jan. Sent me a little message, was wondering about firmware after he updated his firmware. They were on his Garmin Montana 700. He noticed that the UI wasn't working properly and was kind of like getting bricked. What was going on? So luckily I didn't apply my firmware updates on my unit, so I went through the process and did the entire updates and didn't notice anything. But he did leave a clue. His clue was his unit was in the set to the Slovenian language, and I had noticed when I was doing the updates that there was a lot of language updates. So I asked him to switch his unit back to either English or download all the language files, and sure enough, that was the problem. So as soon as he flipped over to English, everything was starting to work as it did. Nothing was hidden. So I assumed that he could just simply update the language updates, and he'll be back and running in his language of choice. And that's it for avoiding chores for this week. Hopefully I can get back into the swing of things here now that I'm trying things in Anchor again. It's the app changed a lot since last time I did an episode. Of course, I was doing stuff on the iPad. This episode was recorded entirely on my iPhone and via the truck, so hopefully the difference in audio won't be too bad. But like always, you can check things out on avoidingchores.com. You can check things out on the YouTube channel. I've also restarted or migrating my newsletter, the Avoiding Chores newsletter. So if you're missing anything or you don't want to go, you just want to get the occasional update of interesting content, I'm trying to block it into themes. So the next newsletter will be about map and compass and Gaia GPS and all trails and all that fun stuff. You can actually sign up to the newsletter via my Twitter profile. So Twitter did buy a newsletter company, I think it's called Review. And I've been moving my subscribers from my newsletter from MailChimp over to this new platform. So check that out. So all you need to do is go to my Twitter profile, and you should see a banner at the very top that you can subscribe. And I'll be sending out the occasional newsletter, just building out a queue. And since I'm more active on Twitter, expect to see a recap and some articles. So anyway, that's enough of me talking. We'll talk to you guys next time.